Got a bunch of news for you guys on this beautiful Friday. It's like 80-something degrees in New Jersey, just so you know. I feel like I'm in Florida. But we're going to be talking undrafted free agents, potential kickers, and Christian Wilkins contract extension talks. Let's jump into it. Play the intro. What is up, Fin fans? Yes, I got a lot to talk about. Got some news, some notes. First thing I want to actually address real quick, right? And these are rumors. These are things I'm hearing. These are, subsurface things that are rumbling that I'm putting my ear to the ground. You know how like you can feel something's coming and you feel like a rumbling and you're like, oh, something's coming. Dalvin Cook. Now, I talk about players and I talk about positions that some think, why, Doug? Like Dalvin Cook. We have 4 running backs. Why would we bring in Dalvin Cook, a starter? Well, if you look at Savon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin, those guys can be easily, thank you for stopping by, we'll see you later, with their contracts. Gaskin has no guaranteed money, and Ahmed has $500,000 in guaranteed money. That can be easily distributed. Also, linebacker Devin White came out and said he wanted to be traded. I said, look into it. Give him a call. See what they're asking for. And I got a little pushback. Why? Jerome Baker, Long, Tyndall, Duke Riley. Why? Because why not? Duke Riley is a special team player. Tyndall hasn't really shown anything. Jerome Baker's Jerome Baker. I loved it. Long. But can he stay healthy? Why not give it a call? So, Dalvin Cook, from what I'm hearing, the Vikings aren't committal. I don't even know if that's the word I want to use, but I'm going to stick with it, with him. They've made no commitment to him. They haven't come out and said, oh, he's going to be with us for 2023, blah, blah, blah. It's been out there and been known. The Dolphins have called the Vikings asking about Dalvin Cook, and I'm guessing the asking price was a little too high for the Dolphins, especially because of the contract that Dalvin Cook has attached to him. And that's another reason why the Vikings are probably looking to move on from him. If the Vikings can pull off getting the top running back out of Texas in this draft, don't be surprised if all of a sudden, second day, bring third round pick. We'll take Dalvin Cook off your hands, but you got to give us something in return. I bet you. Chris Greer likes to wheel and deal. I bet you. That's what he's trying to do, right? He's probably trying to say to them, look, we'll give you our third for Dalvin Cook. We'll take on his contract, no problem, but you got to give us a fourth, right? You get the player and you get the talent of Dalvin Cook for a third round pick, and you also pick up a fourth. I bet you he's doing that. He's trying to get a fourth or a fifth round pick somehow, right? Or, trading a player. Again, I'm not saying I want this, Manuel Agba, Cedric Wilson Jr., and you get another pick in return, switch thirds and this, and that. So we actually don't lose a pick. I bet you he's wheeling and dealing. I bet you something like that's going to happen. But don't be surprised. I'm just giving you guys updates from what I'm hearing. Other stuff that I'm hearing. Undrafted free agents. Dolphins are already talking to some. I don't have names of who. But Dolphins are already talking to some undrafted free agents. They can't give them money. They can't say money-wise, like, oh, we'll get, and there are players that know they're going to get drafted, right? There'll be a shocker if they go in the 7th round, and a lot of times that's what that 7th round is you probably won't get him as an undrafted free agent, so I'm going to take him now, essentially. But there's, Barry Jackson came out and said, because terms are not permitted to discuss financial terms with potential undrafted rookies at this point, the best way of getting an early edge with them is expressing interest, discussing their chances of making the team, and having an assistant coach cultivate a relationship with them. So supposedly the Dolphins are already in that category and already trying to look for undrafted free agents. We've been pretty good at undrafted free agents with Nick Needham, Preston Williams, who I had such high hopes for Preston Williams, Cater Kohu. Came out undrafted free agents. So the Dolphins are pretty good at finding those gems at undrafted free agents. So hopefully they can keep doing that. I'm hearing that these are offensive linemen that they're looking at, so that's going to be very interesting. Another thing, kicker. Dolphins have conveyed to at least one college kicker they're considering bringing in another kicker to OTAs and training camp. Sanders did his thing, right? If you look at Jason Sanders, in 2018, he made 90% of his field goals. Did really well in 2018, and then we gave him, a nice contract extension. I think that was in 2020 he did very well. 19.3% of his field goals. We gave him that contract extension. Then he had 74.2% on his field goals. Last year wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. 81.3% of his field goals. But it was nothing like the 92.3% he had in 2020. His extra point, 100% in 2020, 93.2% this past year. It dropped, and especially in certain situations where we needed him to make the field goals. 50 plus, the past 2 years he hasn't been good. 2020, 9 of 8. The past 2 years, 6 of 2. He attempted 6, made 2. It sucks to ask you to make a 50 plus yard field goal, but you are 9 of 8 or 8 of 9. 2 years ago, even from 40 to 49. Last year he was not last year. Year before 10 out of 8, 8 out of 10. Last year 12 out of 13 wasn't too bad. It was once you get to the 50 yarder, 50, 52, he wasn't good. So again, he was all pro 2020, and then kind of slumped in 2021. Got a little bit better in 2022. So the Dolphins are going to probably bring in some competition, some undrafted free agent competition, which isn't surprising. $2.5 million of Sanders' $3.4 million salary for 2023 is already guaranteed. So it'd be surprising if they move on from him, but if they can bring in a guy who all of a sudden blows people's socks off, all of a sudden he might be an odd man out. Then I got a list here of draft prospects that the Dolphins have brought in today, audition today. Howard, wide receiver, Anton Murray. They're bringing him in. Holy Cross cornerback John Smith, Mississippi State defensive end Randy Charlton, and Richmond wide receiver Leroy Henley. So these are guys that they're bringing in today to try out, to, warm up, all that good stuff. A little tidbit here about Tua and his jiu-jitsu, right? They say a Dolphin source says that while outsiders might make light of Tua Tagovailoa doing jiu-jitsu to help him learn how to fall, the team genuinely believes this could help him avoid concussions. The source said that after the Christmas concussion against Green Bay, Tua was diligent in gathering medical information and medical input on his long-term health, and was open-minded about doing whatever doctors advised. Once he was assured it was safe for him to continue playing, Tua decided to do so, but if they had advised him to stop playing, he would have considered it. I 100% think that if that's Tua, right? He's going to do his due diligence, but I 100% think that if a doctor came to him and was like, look, you had 2 concussions in one season, and the second one, it didn't really even look too bad, but you still were concussed to the point where you forgot plays that you went through. I think it'd be best if you hang up the cleats and take your health into consideration. I'm pretty sure he would consider that and probably do it. But he has talked to multiple doctors and multiple specialists, and they all said there's no long-lasting damage to his brain, and he'll be fine, this, and that, right? Now, the jiu-jitsu part. You want my God's honest opinion about the jiu-jitsu part? I think it's funny, right? Now, this isn't me knocking Tua, so don't take this as me making fun of him or anything, but do I think him doing jiu-jitsu is going to help him not get concussions? No. I think it'll probably help him physically get, more into shape, more bulk, get used to the contact, get used to the movement and learning to control his body more. But I think a lot of his problems when it came to the 2 concussions, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, those 2 concussions weren't the offensive line's fault. Those 2 concussions were him not getting rid of the ball. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals concussion where he had no one near him and he had a guy open. Like, he was just what do I do? What do I do? Then tried to run, and then all of a sudden got wrapped up and whipped to the ground. Concussion. Should have been a penalty. And then you look at the Packers game. He had Gesicki coming across on it wasn't a post. It was an in route. Should have hit him. He decided, here comes the pressure. I'm going to take off. I'm going to pitch it to Smythe. Boom, hits his head. So they're both on him. He needs to learn to get rid of the ball. And which is funny because a lot of people think that, oh, Tua is already predetermined with this and that and blah, blah, blah. And he throws the ball without even thinking. Not necessarily. So the jiu-jitsu part, I hope it works. I hope he stops getting concussed. I hope he stops getting these little nagging injuries. The broken ribs last year, the finger, but that whole finger situation. You're backing up him, but you're not. That was a Brian Flores thing. The Texans game was a Brian Flores thing. That had nothing to do with him health-wise. That 100,000% had to do with Brian Flores. Because he's not the starter, he's the backup. So he's not healthy enough to start, but he's healthy enough to back up. Same thing with the Ravens. It was just made no sense. But he was banged up. His rookie year, I think he missed the Jets game. I think that was the game. Banged up, hurt his finger, missed that game. And then broken ribs last year, missed a few games. And then this year, concussion. He needs to stay healthy. You guys know how I feel about that. Last thing we're going to talk about, Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins representatives and the Dolphins have exchanged numbers in negotiations on a contract extension, according to sources. There was a gap as of last week, but they remain optimistic. But there remains optimism that a deal will get done at some point. Any extension could lower his $10.7 million cap hit in 2023. Good news. Love hearing this. Christian Wilkins, not only is he fantastic in the middle of that defense, a lot of people don't understand that if you expect sack numbers from a defensive tackle, you're looking at it the wrong way. But a huge part of the run defense, huge part of getting pressure, taking on two blockers, all that stuff, definitely deserves a contract extension. It just depends on how much, right? Like I don't even want to say numbers because you guys know I'm bad with contract numbers, but it depends on how much, right? Because you're not going to be paying him as high as some of the best out there, but he definitely deserves an extension and deserves to be on the team. But again, they could do their whole thing where 2023 costs this much, 2024 costs this much, then all of a sudden you get more money in 2025 when we have more money. You know what I'm saying? They could do those things, and they can give him signing bonuses. You can get a huge part of his contract right now. There's all that stuff they could do. But if they do that, and they lower his $10.7 million, then after June 1st, I think if I did the math correctly, you can have like $40 million in cap space after June 1st. So, and they're going to probably carry a lot of that over next year because they need it. But sign the man. Go grab yourself a shirt. Sign the man. But that's what I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I got some news, some notes, throw some things out there. Comment below. What do you think about the potential of adding Dalvin Cook if the price is right? Bob Barker, come on down. What's your thoughts on the undrafted free agent market and how well the Dolphins do, bringing another kicker to compete? The jiu-jitsu part with Tua Tagovailoa, does it make you laugh as much as it makes me laugh? And Christian Wilkins contract extension talks. Comment below. Let me know. I will see you guys tomorrow. I got a special video. I got my buddy Brian Cat. He's coming on. We're going to talk a little bit draft. Got a special Saturday video for you guys coming out tomorrow. But other than that, like usual, stay classy. Infants up.